Hello everyone. In this presentation, I will brief about the introduction part as well as the principle of operation, different types, and the advantage of different types of three-phase synchronous generators, which we call it as alternator also. So first and foremost thing, in case of introduction, let me explain you why the name alternator or why the name synchronous generator. As you already know, if I want to have an AC machine I will designate here in terms of an AC generator. So generator is nothing but it is a machine or a device which is going to convert the input from one type of power to another type of power. Input will be in terms of mechanical power and output will be in terms of an electrical power. So if I call it as an AC generator, it is going to accept the mechanical power as an input and it is going to give us the output of an electrical power. So AC means it will be having an output of an AC three-phase power. So this is regarding the concept of an AC generator or an AC machine. So why the name called as an alternator or a synchronous generator? If I concentrate on any of the heteropolar type of rotating machine, heteropolar in the sense which are having multiple number of poles. If I consider any kind of a heteropolar rotating machine with an alternate north as well as the south poles, we call such kind of machines as alternators. So if I concentrate on a conductor based upon the principle of an electromagnetic induction, whether the conductor is rotating and the field is fixed, or the field is rotating and the conductor or the armature part is fixed or stationary. So any one of the concept will be followed and an EMF will be induced. So in the same way, when we have the conductors and an EMF is induced, this particular induced EMF alternates in between the positive as well as the negative part. That is, if I draw a waveform, it will be in terms of a sinusoidal waveform, which will be having a positive half of a signal as well as the negative half of a signal, which we call it as an alternating type. So that's why we have the term called as an alternator. Then why it is called as a synchronous generator? Suppose if I consider a particular machine which is having in terms of a conductor as well as the magnetic field, and as I already explained you, so there will be a rotating type of conductor or armature and a fixed type of field or a fixed type of conductor or an armature and rotating type of field. So depending upon whichever the concept, depending upon whichever the type of output I need in terms of high power or low power output, depending upon that I will be using a type. So whatever may be the type I am using, depending upon the principle of electromagnetic induction, there will be the conversion from mechanical power to electrical output power, that is the three-phase power. So electricity will be out of the conductor, which will be having some kind of electrical frequency. So whenever we have an electrical frequency produced in locked condition, in the sense I will be explaining you taking an example of the frequency in terms of 50 or 60 hertz depending upon the component which you are going to make use of. So if we have the electrical frequency produced in locked, or if we have electrical frequency produced synchronized with the mechanical rate of rotation of the field of the generator, we call such machine as synchronous generators. So that's why the name called as synchronous generators. So what about that particular electrical frequency? So whatever the frequency we are going to have the design, that frequency is supposed to be equal to a value of n into p divided by 120, where this f value, so this particular f value we call it as a frequency of AC electrical output, and we have a constant value of 120 p depends upon the number of poles what you are going to use in your machine, and n stands for speed of rotation of the field, which is exactly similar to the synchronous speed. Sometimes it is also designated in terms of ns. Suppose if I am considering say a frequency of 50 hertz power supply. So if I want the 50 hertz power supply to be produced, generator should rotate only at a particular speed depending upon the number of poles of the machine. So it cannot take any of the speed as it requires, but depending upon the frequency, a particular speed will be obtained depending upon the number of poles, whether it is a 2-pole type of an alternator or a 4-pole type of alternator, depending upon that. Suppose if I consider the frequency that is required, power supply frequency to be 50 hertz, the number of poles to be designed in terms of 2. So what will be the value of the speed? So the value of the synchronous speed, what you are going to call, it will be 120 into F divided by P. So in this particular case, for 50 hertz frequency design, it is 120 into 50 divided by number of poles, which is equal to 2. So if I calculate it, I will be obtaining the value as around 3000 rpm. So it will be equal to 3000 rpm. Similarly, if I want the design in terms of a 60 hertz frequency. So for a 60 hertz frequency, it is 120 into 60. Again, I will consider the pole requirement as 2 itself. So it will be 3000. So this is 2. 3600 rpm. Suppose if I assume the frequency requirement from the power supply is to be 50 hertz, and the number of pole requirement is equal to a value of 4. Then what happens to the synchronous speed? It is in terms of 120 into F is 50 divided by the number of pole is 4. That is 4, 3, 12. So it is 30. So 30 into 50 will come around equal to 1500 rpm. So this is 1500 rpm. So what conclusion we can come over here? So when I considered the number of poles as equal to 4, the value of speed, what we got it as equal to 1500. When I consider it as 2, it is 3000 rpm. Higher the number of poles. So as you go on increasing the number of poles, the synchronous speed will go on decreasing. So your synchronous speed as well as the number of poles are inversely proportional to each other. So the number of poles as you go on increasing, the synchronous speed will go on decreasing. The number of poles as you go on decreasing, the synchronous speed will go on increasing. So this is how you are going to determine the synchronous speed. So that will be mentioned only for a particular value of the speed. So it will hold good for a frequency design depending upon that particular value itself. So this is regarding why it is called as synchronous generator. So by this time you must be clear with the concept of why the alternator is called with the name as synchronous generator. So electrical frequency produced is locked in or synchronized with the mechanical rate of rotation of the field of the generator. That's why it is called as a synchronous generator. and you have to remember this particular equation, that is frequency is equal to ns into p divided by 120. So now let me just tell you or brief you about the different types, or first of all, what are the main parts of an alternator and what are the different types of an alternator. So as you already know, just like your DC machine, you will be having, in case of a synchronous generator or an alternator also, two main basic parts. The two main basic parts will be in terms of a stator as well as a rotor. Stator, as you already know, it will be a stationary part, whereas rotor will be a rotating part. So if you see these two diagrams over here, what I have drawn, so one is called as a rotating armature type, another one is called as fixed armature type, or it is called as a rotating field type, or sometimes it is also called as revolving field type of an alternator. So alternator, again, it will be having a stator part as well as a rotor part. Any one can be a stator. Either the armature conductors can be stationary, or you can have the field as a stationary, or you can have armature conductor as rotating and field as rotating. So the combination, one will be static or stator, and another one will be rotating. If you see this particular diagram, in both the cases I am having a conductor. So you can see here round small circles represent the conductors, and this is the magnetic magnet, permanent magnet, temporary magnet you are having, but here we are using the electromagnets, which will be having poles, say north pole as well as the south pole. So this is responsible for the generation of electromagnetic field. So now if I want to categorize in between the different types of an alternator or different types of a synchronous generator. So if the magnetic field remains fixed and the armature conductors are rotating, if this starts rotating and if this part is fixed or stationary, we call it as rotating armature type of an alternator. So anyways, you are having this as a rotating type due to the principle of electromagnetic induction, and EMF will be generated when you are going to place the current carrying conductor in a magnetic field. So this EMF generated can be extracted. Again, if I am having one more concept, like in terms of conductors which are not rotating, or it is a stationary part over here, and this particular magnet or magnetic field is rotating, we call such type of alternators as fixed armature type or rotating field type or revolving field type of alternators. So what is the difference between these two? Whenever in my design I want the low voltage type of machines, or in other terms, I want smaller power output type of machines. In such conditions, I will be making use of rotating armature type of alternators. Suppose if I want in my application wherein I can design high power outputs or high voltage type of machines, say in the range of some 3.3 kV to 66 kV type of machine, then I can make use of the rotating field type of an alternator. So one of the drawback which you are going to find in this particular case is that you are going to have a conductor. You are going to place a magnetic field in terms of a north pole or a south pole, depending upon the number of poles. You are going to have the placement, whether it is a two pole type of machine or a four pole type of machine and all. So you are having a conductor. Conductor will be connected to the slip ring, and slip ring will be connected to the brushes to collect the current. So there will be a contact between slip ring as well as brushes, which is going to produce a huge spark in case of this particular form, that is fixed armature type or rotating type of field. So in this particular case, the spark is produced, or a very huge spark is produced whenever there is a contact between the slip ring as well as the brushes. So apart from that, you can use it for a higher application, that is high power output application. Then what may be the advantage? So drawback I have already told. What may be the advantage of a rotating field or revolving field type of an alternator over the rotating armature type of an alternator. So as I have already explained you, this can be used in order to produce a high voltage or high power capacity type of machine. Apart from that, more conductors can be easily accommodated in a stationary type of armature or a fixed type of armature. Along with that, the armature conductors can be easily braced over a rigid frame, and it is easier for us to insulate a stationary system. So insulation of stationary system becomes quite easier when compared with the rotating type, and the cooling of the conductors will be so much effective with proper cooling ducts or cooling vents in the stationary part. Along with that, the power can be tapped easily without any risk from the stationary part through terminal brushings. And last one is the armature conductors are totally free from any centrifugal force which tends to drag the conductors out of the slots. So these are the advantages which I can find if I am making use of a fixed type of armature and rotating type of field. So after this particular understanding of the different types of alternators, let me just brief you the working principle or the working operation of alternator or a synchronous generator. So as usual, the synchronous generator, alternator, like every other machine, DC machine also you have studied this concept. It is going to work on the principle of an electromagnetic induction. So I have stated the two different types of alternators: conductor stationary, magnetic field rotating, or magnetic field stationary and conductor revolving or rotating. So whenever you have any of these concepts, that is when a conductor moves across a magnetic field or when a magnetic field moves across a conductor, an EMF is induced in the conductor. So whenever the EMF is induced in the conductor, it will be of an alternating type. That's why it is called as an alternator. So this is the diagram which I have shown in order to explain the concept of principle of operation. So as usual, you are having the placement of, so I am considering one single conductor. So the small circle, what you are seeing, it is one single conductor. So it is considered for one full cycle of rotation, that is 360-degree angle electrical wise. So I have considered distinct positions based upon which I will be explaining the concept why it is called as an alternating type. It is placed in a magnetic field. So magnetic field is obtained by the magnets which is having now the north pole as well as the south pole. So whenever you adopt the concept of either conductor moving across a magnetic field or magnetic field moving across a conductor, there will be an EMF induced. Now I will be considering the first case, that is a conductor moves across a magnetic field wherein your conductor is rotating and the magnetic field becomes stationary. Say I will start anti-clockwise direction, so I will start with position 1. Assume that the conductor is placed in its position 1. So if you see the position 1, the direction of the velocity is facing upward. So whenever you have a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, obviously magnetic field means there will be magnetic field lines. So the magnetic field lines which you will be obtaining from the magnet is parallel to the direction of the velocity. So it will get it is not showing you any sort of EMF generation, or EMF is not at all induced in such condition. So it will be equal to a value of 0. So here in the waveform you can see I have plotted time versus the EMF. I have considered one full cycle of 360-degree electrical angle. So now if I start with position 1 it is not having any sort of EMF generated. So it is equal to 0 because both are parallel to each other. When the conductor starts to revolve or rotate in between the first as well as the second position, there will be some amount of velocity which will not be parallel with the magnetic field lines, but it will be perpendicular to the magnetic field lines. So some of them will not going to generate any sort of EMF. There will be the generation of EMF in some cases where you will be having, suppose if I am placing it too close over here, again it will be parallel. but when I place it over here slightly, it will start to come out of the parallel condition. So in between 1 to 2, the EMF will slightly start to increase. So EMF is going to increase, that is d phi by dt will increase. Here d phi by dt in position 1 is equal to 0, so E is also equal to 0. Whereas in between 1 to 2, it has slightly started to increase, that is d phi by dt has slightly started to increase. So obviously your EMF induced will also increase. So in between 1 to 2, the EMF has increased. When it comes to 2, if you see the velocity position in the 2, it is exactly perpendicular to the magnetic field line. So when it becomes exactly perpendicular to the magnetic field line, the EMF induced, before EMF induced d phi by dt will be maximum. Also it is going to have an EMF induced in a particular conductor to be taking a maximal value. That's why at the 2 it has attained its peak level. In between 2 to 3, in between 2 to 3 what happens? There is slightly perpendicular also, there is slightly parallel also. So whatever may be the parallel, it will be yielding a zero level of EMF. Whatever may be the perpendicular, it will be giving me some value for the d phi by dt. In turn it will give some value for the EMF induced. So what happens when it is compared with the position 2, when it comes in between 2 to 3, the EMF has gradually started to decline. So EMF has gradually started to decline from the position 2 to 3. That's why there is a decline in the waveform. When it comes to the position 3, when it comes to position 3, again it is becoming parallel to the magnetic field line. So exact at position 3, it will be once again equal to 0 value. So now it is 0. So when it comes from 3 to 4, 3 to 4, once again d phi by dt, it is having slight parallel combination of velocities like the perpendicular combination. So for parallel it will be 0, for perpendicular it will be showing you some kind of d phi by dt. In turn it will show you some value for the EMF induced. So if you compare from 3 to 4, at 3 it was exactly equal to 0, but from 3 to 4 it has started to increase. It has started to increase, but it will be increasing in the reverse direction or the opposite direction. That's why from 3 to 4, the EMF induced has increased. It is greater than a value of 0, that is in terms of a minus sign. So till 4 it will be showing you the increase. At the 4 level it is exactly perpendicular. It is exactly perpendicular in the sense, once again it is having an increase, that is the maximal value will be shown in case of d phi by dt as well as the EMF induced at position 4, but again it is reverse when compared with the position 2. So that's why you are having the maximal value in the negative direction at the fourth position. So in between 4 to 1, again there is some component which will be perpendicular, but some component which will become parallel. So it will be declining in the reverse direction once again. So that declining, we call it as, sorry, it will be declining in this particular direction. So that we call it as the one full cycle or 360-degree electrical angle. So this is how you are going to have the generation of EMF through the principle of an electromagnetic induction. So hope you understood the concept of brief introduction regarding an alternator or a synchronous generator, why it is called as an alternator or why it is called as a synchronous generator, what are the different types of alternators you can have, whether it is a rotating type of armature or it is a fixed type of armature. So depending upon what concept you are going to choose, rotating armature type or fixed armature type, and what is the advantage, what is the drawback of fixed armature type or rotating field type of an alternator. After that we have even discussed what is the working principle of operation of a three-phase synchronous generator or alternator. So hope you understood all these concepts thoroughly. Thank you for listening.